participate. Our predictions for 2.
Hey guys, what's going on?
everyone, Jeb here, and in today's video we are going to be doing some technical analysis on your favorite king of crypto, Bitcoin. We are also going to be talking about two different nations and how they are approaching the Bitcoin and blockchain ecosystem. Number one, we're going to be talking about India, because India has just recently announced that or at least there's speculation that India might be about to move in the direction of having Bitcoin as an asset classification, which I think is a great first step for one of these developing nations that really wants to capitalize on Bitcoin and its potential to help its economy. And we're also going to be talking about El Salvador and the IMF, because the IMF is kind of holding El Salvador a little bit, not sure I can say that word, but they're holding them for something, because they have a loan that they were going to give El Salvador, and they're acting like they're not going to, because El Salvador is now requiring all merchants in their country to accept Bitcoin, as it is now becoming the one currency of that country. Guys, some massive news, and we're going to break down what all of it means today for the short, medium term, and long term. If that's something you're interested in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are joined, as always, by your president and my co-host, Kinda Crypto Tim. How you doing, Tim?
What's up, everybody? You know, I didn't win today. I didn't win this week, and that is okay, because I am also Team Smay due to our new alliance. So, hashtag burn the truck.
Dang.
We are going to keep this trophy away from that desk for a while now. But
oh, no.
I'm very excited for Smay.
Yes.
Very glad for him.
Because Smay, who is our producer and your one and only Smangatan, has won this week. How you doing, Smay?
I'm good. I won.
I'm good. I won. I mean, I guess that sums it up, huh?
Yeah, we missed you yesterday, Smay.
What happened?
We missed you yesterday. You weren't on the show.
Yeah. No, where were you?
I had to go get my tooth fixed.
You had to go get your tooth fixed. I'm starting to think that's a euphemism for something. I'm really kind of concerned. Anyway, guys, we have a lot to cover in today's stream, but we're going to start with a little bit of news coming out of India. Let's go ahead and jump onto my chart, and then we'll move into some Bitcoin TA here a little bit later. Now, I'm just going to kind of read through a couple of these articles. We're going to lay some foundations here for the next couple of minutes, and then we're going to break down what all of this means. India will propose a law banning cryptocurrencies, finding anyone in the country or even holding such digital assets, a senior government official told Reuters, in a potential blow to millions of investors piling on red-hot asset classes. Now, this is something that broke a while ago. This is not news. I just want you to know that this is background information. This was posted on March 14th, Pi Day of this year. We do now have some new news. India purportedly proposing crypto ban penalizing miners and traders. This is another one. March 14th, India was moving in this direction. Let's go back to full screen. What we have seen happen over the last couple of days is that there's quite a bit of speculation that India is about to move in the direction of not banning Bitcoin and going against the RBI, that being the Central Bank of India, and talking about having Bitcoin become its own asset classification for the purposes of taxation and classification and the like. I'll read here from some of our notes. India had previously been moving towards banning cryptocurrency based on many accounts, and it has been discussing heavily that in the past few months. The two articles are from March, and they were proposing a crypto ban in India. Those are the articles that we just looked at. I'm not going to go into too much detail on them because that is old news. However, there's been a shift in sentiment towards cryptocurrency in India, especially now that El Salvador is moving in the direction of full mass adoption on a nation-state level of cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin in particular. Sources from within India gave statements saying that India was poised to loosen their tough stance on cryptocurrencies. And I quote, actually, I don't quote, because that's our next story. Here's the thing, guys. There's not a lot of news around this right now. This is speculation, and I want to be crystal clear on that, because not a lot has actually broken that is concrete. And we here at this Crypto Jeb channel want to be very clear with you guys when we don't fully know something and when there's not concrete evidence on something. In this case, this is something that we're looking at. India and it moving towards adopting Bitcoin is not necessarily in the cards right now. What we are talking about is that there's speculation that India may be moving in the direction of classifying Bitcoin in its own asset class and potentially rescinding some of those RBI bans on different banks and whatnot on Bitcoin. This is a big step for adoption in India because it's moving in the right direction. Here's the thing about India, though, and some of you guys have been saying this in the comments. India really has to prove to us if it means what it says. Now, first of all, of course, these are speculations, and this is not necessarily official yet. However, we also need to be keeping in mind that India at this current moment has changed its tune on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies many times. It's kind of the same thing that's going on in China. I really want to see India prove to us what it is going to do next. But I will tell you this, I think that India potentially getting into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies could be one of the best things for its economy in the long run. This is actually something we talked about on Around the Blockchain yesterday over on Ben's channel. If India were to move in the direction of adopting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, India makes up roughly 1/6 or 1/7 of the Earth's population, and it's the exact kind of target market that Bitcoin is looking for. It's looking for a developing nation. It's looking for a nation that doesn't already have very well-built infrastructure. It's looking for a nation that wants to usurp these other hegemonic currencies like the US dollar and the euro and the sterling and the pound and the yen. It is looking for that kind of market. India is the perfect target market for Bitcoin. The question now is, will the Indian officials take the bold step required to move towards Bitcoin adoption for the betterment of their people, or will they not? That's the question on the table right now. Tim, I want to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think is going to happen here?
With India?
Yeah.
Man,
And what do you think it would mean?
First of all, again, the two big countries right now that are in the news is, of course, El Salvador, which someone was talking about economically is probably about the size of the equivalency of what Rhode Island kind of adds to the United States. So it's not very big, but it's the precedence. So whereas the precedence information is huge in El Salvador, in India, the second largest nation in the world with over 1 billion people, and the fact that they not only have swung from saying, you know what, fine, we're not going to ban anymore, they've swung to say, actually, oh no, we actually might be considering this an asset class. I think that potentially could be even bigger news in El Salvador. Now, again, it's hard to beat the precedence argument, being a country using it as legal tender, but overall, just the mere size of the people it will affect in India is huge.
Yeah, and guys, that's something you got to realize, that there's two different kind of news. There's precedence, and then there's actual impactful fundamentals. Right now, El Salvador moving into Bitcoin is not that big of a deal from an economic fundamental standpoint. It is more of a precedence news story. What that means is that we have set the precedence that something has happened, which means that something will probably happen again, and others may follow in their footsteps. As people were talking about, El Salvador does not have the largest economy in the world. I just Googled it. They have roughly a $27 billion GDP. Rhode Island, as you were saying, has a $62 billion gross domestic product. That is not the point, though. El Salvador moving in the direction of fully adopting Bitcoin is a testnet. It is a soft launch. It is a beta, if you will, for Bitcoin being adopted on a nation-state level. If this succeeds over the next couple of years in El Salvador, you can bet your bottom dollar that other nations in El Salvador's position are more than likely going to be moving in just the same direction. That's why that's important. We're going to be talking about the IMF here in a little bit, but I actually want to pause on our fundamental news, and I want to talk about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has been doing relatively well over the last couple of days, and as we've talked about recently, it is in a critical decision phase. In fact, there are some technicals saying that it might be about to have a major breakout, so we're going to look at those, and we're going to question whether or not that is going to happen. So let's jump onto my chart, and let's go ahead and start. Bitcoin right now is sitting below something called the 20 daily exponential moving average. That is this moving average right here. For anyone in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, that is our academy that we use to teach people technical analysis. We had almost 4,000 students go through it now. In the academy, we have an entire video dedicated to the 20 exponential moving average. Bitcoin tends to stay above the 20 exponential moving average in bull markets. Whenever Bitcoin is in a downtrend or a bear market, it tends to be below it. Now, that does not mean that if you fall below the 20 EMA, as we did here, or here, or here, that you're in a bear market. It does not mean that in the slightest, but it does mean that you are bearish. Right now, Bitcoin is still below the 20 daily EMA, but if we're able to get above it, that would be a great sign of increased bullishness, decreasing bearishness, and overall bullish momentum for the market. That is one of the reasons I say we're in a decision phase right now. Another reason is because we have a green, red, green formation. What that essentially is where we have a large green candlestick, a smaller red candlestick, which by the way is a spinning top, we'll come back to that, and a bullish engulfing candlestick. What that means is that the green candlestick here, the bullish one, that follows the red candlestick here, the bearish one, is larger than the preceding one. The green candlestick's larger than the red one. Why is that important? Because it means that the strength that the bear showed right here was overshadowed by the bulls right here. Remember, red, bear, green, bull. The green, the bulls, were stronger than the bears because they engulfed all of the downwards momentum that the bears were able to implement yesterday. Another point here is that yesterday we saw something called a spinning top. I pointed this out on the channel. This spinning top signals indecision. We need to see over the next couple of days what Bitcoin does, because if we're in an indecisive point, if there's a battle going on and there's 50,000 people over here and 50,000 people over here and they're just kind of clashing at it, you really kind of just got to wait and see which one is going to come out on top. It's probably going to be one of them. It's not necessarily the most likely that it's going to be a stalemate, but you just don't know yet. So what we're looking for right now is, what does this spinning top, what does this uncertainty play out to look like? And I think I have some hypotheses as to what that might look like. This is something that Tim found on the chart, so I want to bring it to your attention. Tim found that there is currently an inverse head and shoulders pattern forming
Kinda
here
ugly,
on
but
Bitcoin.
it's there.
It's kind of ugly, but I am too, so I get it. Look, guys, this inverse head and shoulders pattern can still be effective even if it doesn't look the best. Isn't that right? Our 121,000 subscribers. Guys, that was a slight at myself, by the way. I wasn't attacking our subscribers. You guys are beautiful. You guys stole it from me. Anyway, this inverse head and shoulders pattern right here is not the best looking, but it does still have relevance here in the cryptocurrency technical analysis, because other people are going to read this as an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and therefore they may make trades off of it, which means that we need to be paying attention to it. An inverse head and shoulders pattern can have its price target extrapolated like this. We have a shoulder line right here. A neckline right here. This represents the very top of an inverse head and shoulders pattern, or the very bottom of a regular head and shoulders pattern. And then what we'll do is we'll measure from the very bottom of the head and shoulders pattern, the up here, we'll measure down here over the neckline, and then we will use that to extrapolate the breakout. That would put a price target roughly at $45,000. So we'll go ahead and draw a horizontal level at $45,000, and we'll put that piece of technical analysis in our back pocket, and I'm going to come back to it in a second. Before I get back to that, though, there is something else I want to mention here on the daily chart, and it would be some bullish RSI divergence on Bitcoin. This is a pretty big deal, because bullish RSI divergence on Bitcoin very rarely gets ignored by the traders. It is a very powerful signal, and it's one that we should not take for granted. I have a divergence cheat sheet up over here that looks like this. Bullish RSI divergence, I don't know if that's on camera, but if we scroll down here, you should be able to see it. Bullish RSI divergence happens when, let's see, it's not going to load. That's okay. Can you see this right over here? Can I see this thing?
Not fully.
Don't worry about it. I can show them on the chart. What bullish RSI divergence looks like is when you have on the chart, there is downtrending level of support, and on the RSI, there is an uptrending level of support. That is what we're looking at right now. That is called regular RSI, that's called regular bullish RSI divergence.
Divergence, yep.
Had to get that right. Divergence just means that the chart is moving in a different direction than the RSI. Notice this is pointing up, this is pointing down. Therefore, it is divergent. It is RSI because we're using the RSI. Why is it bullish? I'll tell you why it's bullish. If we set very high lows over here and lower lows over here, but the RSI set very deep lows over here and higher lows over here, it means that even though the market might be setting slightly lower lows, it means that the bulls are starting to gain strength. Part of the reason that this is known is through statistical analysis. Guys, that's all technical analysis is. It's looking at the past, learning from the past, and then using that information to extrapolate into the future. Based on historical trends, we have found over the course of thousands of instances, whenever you see this pattern, very regularly, you will see the market go into an uptrend. By how much? Well, this technical indicator, this chart formation, I should say, doesn't necessarily tell you how far you're going to go. You need to look to other sources to figure out what your price target might be. That's why I started with that inverse head and shoulders pattern, because when you mix these two and you have a holistic view of technical analysis, that means you're looking at everything as a whole, because that's the only way to do it correctly. You can't just look at one indicator. You got to look at the whole thing. You can't make an argument on one point. You got to understand the whole landscape of what you're debating. In this case, I see a target of around $45,000. I see bullish RSI divergence. I see the MACD is bullish. I see that the volume is low, but it is bumping over the last 5 days or so. It has bumped a little bit higher over the last 5 days or so. And I also see that TD sequential has bottomed out just a couple of weeks ago over here, and we never really went into a rally to follow it. I see some other things also. For example, I see that the VPVR has a ton of support where we are right now, partially because of all this sideways trading. Bitcoin has clearly set a strong foundation around that $30,000 level. I also see that the Bollinger Bands are very constricted. And when the Bollinger Bands are very constricted, what naturally comes next? Well, markets are cyclical. They go from high volatility to low volatility, high volume to low volume, uptrend to downtrend. They go back and forth. They cycle like a loop. Right now we see low volatility. Right now we see sideways momentum. We don't see a lot of volume. So what should we see next? We should see high volatility. We should see high volume. We should see a very clearly defined trend. Where is that trend going to go? Based on that RSI divergence, based on that inverse head and shoulders pattern, based on the fact that we're right below the 20 EMA, and if we break bullish out of it, we should go into a good rally. I think that is what is likely to happen. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to rally back to all-time high. I think pushing to $45,000 will be a stretch, quite frankly, because I do think that we're going to see at least some more sideways trading over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
But I do think that the technicals make it clear that we should be moving in the direction of the mid-40s. So let's see what you guys think about that. And Tim, do you have anything to weigh in on that?
Yeah, no, first of all, Jeb, do you know how I found that last night, that we were in a divergent
How did
RSI
you find
divergence?
that last night,
Because I
Tim?
was freaking going back through CT2A.
Ooh.
Josh Haynes even said it, guys. Listen, if you've been around here for a while, all you need to know about CT2A and if it works or not is go back and watch videos of me in February and then come watch them now. By no means am I the most genius man on the planet, but it is a night and day difference. And literally just going through the videos, I was like, holy crap. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening right now. Went back, had to double check it, and that's exactly what was happening.
And just so you guys know, there's actually not much conversation about technical analysis that goes on behind the scenes with Tim and I. Normally, it's Tim brings something to me and he's like, hey, is this right? And I'll either say, yeah, that's right, or I'll say, nah, you kind of missed something. Normally, he's right. It's very rare that I actually walk up to him and teach him something. Most of what he's learned from technical analysis, I have not directly verbally told him. Normally, he learned it in CT2A and then brought it to my attention, and I either approved or denied it. But you guys can do the exact same thing here on the channel. And frankly, almost all of what he's brought to me has been correct because don't want to pat myself on the back too much here, but it's a good product and you should consider taking it. The link is in the description box down below. Drop a 1 in chat if you're a CT2A alumni and you love it. Let's see if we have some super chats.
We do have some super chats. We definitely can answer some of those. So we had one from Vlad Yen who said, hey, do you think Cardano might go as low as 50 cents or 70 cents if it breaks bearish? And how to get as rich as Jeb by the age 20? I am 18.
Oh, man.
Great question.
Those are two different questions. So the first question is...
I want to get as rich as Jeb by the time I'm 20.
The first question is Cardano going to 50 to 70 cents, right?
Yes.
Yes. I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. Cardano has been trading sideways around... Here, we'll jump onto my chart really quickly. Cardano has been trading sideways around that $1 to $1.50 region for a very long time now, and I'll show you that. The VPVR right here, sitting above $1 and below $1.50 is extremely, extremely strong. ADA has had a plethora of opportunities to drop below $1. It has tried it many times and it has not yet happened. In fact, instead of pulling all the way down there, we have gone into much higher rallies all the way up to $2.30. I don't think it's going to pull down to 50 to 70 cents. It is statistically unlikely. As to your other question, though, so let's go back to full screen on this. I'm so glad you asked this because I am not the wealthiest man in the world, but I have done all right for myself. And I'll tell you the one thing that I did, unwittingly, but I did, that brought about all of this. You want to know what it is? Because you got to listen to me here, because I say this all the time, and a lot of people don't listen to me. A lot of people think that I'm crazy. A lot of people think, oh, Jeb's just lying. He's just trying to sell something. I'm being honest. Instead of focusing on investing in Bitcoin or Cardano or Ethereum, I invested in me. Let me explain. There's a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. If you haven't read the book, you should. There's a reason it sold 30 million copies in the last 30 years. One of the very first things that Stephen Covey talks about in that book is a concept called PC over P. That is production capacity over product. He uses the analogy of the goose that laid the golden egg. The goose is going to lay one golden egg every single day. What a greedy person does is they take out that goose and they go in there and they get that golden egg. But what the patient and successful person does is he waits. He lets the golden goose lay the egg every single day, and gradually over time, he becomes very successful because of these golden eggs. And the moral of the story is that instead of trying to make his gain right now, this minute, by slaughtering the goose and then getting the golden egg right this minute, he waited and let it come over time. So here are my 2 points. Number one, you have to have patience. It's not going to happen immediately. It happens faster for some people, and a lot of that just comes down to how we've been blessed and what positions we've been put in. But what we can control is this. We can control how we invest in the production capacity of our wealth. Think more about how you make money than about the money. You got to seduce money, guys. You can't just walk up to it and say, hey, I like you. It doesn't work that way. You got to build systems. You got to put habits in place. You got to learn and invest in yourself, and it will come. That's why one of our core values here at McAfee Media, the company that runs this channel, which I own, is growth-oriented. Because the thing that put me on the map was continually investing in myself, reading books, watching videos, building experience through these videos. And that's why we sell the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, is because I genuinely believe that he who invests in himself will be so glad that he focused on investing in himself over investing in cryptocurrencies. Not saying that's a bad thing, but if you focus on investing in yourself, doesn't matter what Bitcoin does, because you can make money in any market. People make riches in real estate and Bitcoin and the stock market and in Amway. Like, they make money in everything. It's not about the industry. It's about you. So invest in yourself, and you'll be very glad you did. That's the best advice I can give.
The rest of the super chats we're going to answer a little bit later. There was one. This wasn't even a super chat, but I think it is something that would be important for you to answer. And then we're going to jump back into our articles and get back to super chats a little bit later. Freestyle Fighter asked, would you draw a Fibonacci extension from the very bottom of March 2020 crash to the all-time high? Question mark. That's where I'm seeing sub 30,000 Bitcoin till September. And then he tagged us in that.
Yeah, so
Great question.
So let's go ahead and do that, because that's actually something we've looked at here recently, is the Fibonacci on Bitcoin. So there's two different ways that you can do Fibonacci extension here, or Fibonacci retracement here, and let's go ahead and look at them. So one of the ways that you can do this is you can pull all the way from the very bottom, around $4,000 in March of 2020, all the way up to the all-time high of $68,000. And as Freakstyle Fighter is talking about, there is something called the Fibonacci Golden Pocket right here, in between the 61.8% Fibonacci level and the 65% Fibonacci level. That Golden Pocket tends to be where the market will correct to. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, because I believe I talked about this just yesterday, but if you look at the history of Bitcoin, generally speaking, Bitcoin will top out somewhere around a Fibonacci level. For example, here it's at 38.2, which as you'll notice is on the other side of the 58% level from 61.8. And we can also see here we topped out, boom, in the Golden Pocket, and we topped out, if we look at the next correction here in the 2018 bull market, we topped out at the 61.8 to 65% Golden Pocket as well. So the question is, if Bitcoin, generally speaking, will correct down to the 61.8% Fibonacci level, what about this? This is saying that we could pull back as low as $25,000. Two things on this. Number one, it's absolutely possible. Do not want to discount the possibility of a $25,000 Bitcoin in the slightest. It could absolutely happen. Number two, though, this is not how I have my Fibonacci drawn, and I'll tell you why. What we see here in March of 2020 is extraneous price action. Essentially what I mean by that is that we had a massive dump, not due to technicals, not due to fundamentals, but because of a black swan event called something I can't say on YouTube because we get demonetized every time I say it, but you guys know what happened in March of last year. That's why we dropped 60% in the span of a couple of days. Notice what the market did immediately following. Within 2 months, Bitcoin was back to where it started, rallied 156%. I, in my technical analysis and in my experience, have found if you include those outliers, remember from math class in 8th grade what an outlier is. It's just extraneous data that kind of muddles the water and doesn't tend to be very useful. I look at this as an outlier, and what I do in this case is I'm actually going to move my Fibonacci all the way up here to around $9,000, which, as you will notice, is where we stabilized before going into this bull market. We traded sideways here for many, many months. We didn't do a whole lot in May, June, and July of last year, and then all of a sudden we started moving. I'm going to call for this bull market sometime around mid-July of last year, the beginning of this bull market. And if we do that, then we find that the Golden Pocket sits right here in between $29,000 and $30,500. Seems like a small difference between $25,000 and $30,000, but the extra precision that we can come to by really questioning how we do our technical analysis will help us in the long run to better understand what the markets are doing and where the markets are going. So both are valid positions, by the way, Freestyle Fighter. I'm not saying that your position is invalid. I do, however, have a different opinion based on my experience, but I think that the audience should be aware that there are price targets down to $20,000 and $25,000. It is very possible, but on this indicator, on this chart formation, I look at it a little bit differently. Good question, guys. Please keep those coming. I love it. I love it. I love it.
All right, so let's go ahead. There's one super chat I'll ask because it will actually help kind of segue us into our next bit, and that is Murray Ruggiero, I think, said, you think we are set for a price explosion and massive adoption with all of the South American countries having it as legal tender? Question mark. So what would you say to that? And that's kind of going to lead right into the El Salvador
absolutely. So guys, even before I say that, make sure you hit that like button. We have 2,000 people watching and only 373 likes. I very much appreciate when you guys hit that like button. We have a whole team at this channel that helps to create this content, and we are so very thankful for our subscribers. So if you're interested in subscribing to the channel, it's totally free. It doesn't cost you a thing. You can subscribe if you decide that we're not the place that you should call home, but I encourage you to give it a shot for a week and see what you think. Here's my take on that. I talked about this on Around the Blockchain yesterday. Whenever you're looking in a history textbook, every major event in history had events leading up to it, right? The space race had events leading up to it. The Cold War had events that began it. The different major events throughout history have had different inflection points from which the market began to change, from which the culture began to shift. Most of those early inflection points, most of those early bits of information that, with the benefit of hindsight, we would later realize led us to monumental things like the falling of the Berlin Wall, or the dissolution of the Soviet Union, or the moon landing, or internet launching, Amazon becoming a $2 trillion company. Most of the first steps didn't show up on the front page of a newspaper. They showed up in the 14th page of the newspaper. They didn't show up at the beginning. They showed up at the end. Why? Because from the perspective of the person living through that event, what happened didn't seem like that big of a deal. The people living through that event, reporting on the news, were much more interested in talking about the sensational topics. They were much more interested in talking about the big, sexy things that potentially could cause something to happen over the next 2 days, because we are very much instant gratification kind of people, especially here in the West. What is different about this channel is that we try to not only cover that, because it is important, but we try to look for that stuff on the 14th page of the newspaper that doesn't seem that important now, but nevertheless will go down in history. Right now, El Salvador adopting Bitcoin, which we're about to talk about here in about 30 seconds, is one of the biggest landmark adoption stories in the history of Bitcoin, and notice it did almost nothing to the price. I don't personally believe that a lot of these massive adoption and fundamental stories are going to lead to massive explosions in price over the next couple of years. Over the next couple of months. However, they are going to be landmark historical events that will show up in textbooks 20 years from now, and for that reason, we need to be paying attention to it because the first steps are being taken. With that said, let's go ahead and jump onto this article, because we have a very interesting story about El Salvador and the IMF that I believe is characteristic of our age and explains exactly why we need Bitcoin so badly. After El Salvador, India may move to classify Bitcoin as an asset class. That is the wrong article. My apologies, guys. Let's go ahead and go back to full screen really quickly. I want to talk about this because I forgot we didn't have an article on this. This is what we're seeing happen. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, which was set up almost 100 years ago, is now, let's see, how do I say this? Holding El Salvador, the H word. Again, I can't say it because I don't want YouTube to take me down. There's all these things that you can't say on YouTube. I don't even know how to say it without that word, but you know what I'm talking about. The IMF is holding them for ransom, if you will. The IMF has a $1.3 billion loan that the IMF is attempting, that was going to be giving to El Salvador. Obviously, El Salvador has recently moved in the direction of adopting Bitcoin as a legal form of tender. That is very important because that is a landmark event. The IMF does not like that. In fact, the IMF thinks that that is very fiscally irresponsible. El Salvador merchants, all of them, will be required to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment moving forward. This is a major deal because this is going to be the first time in history that an entire nation attempts to adopt Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. We've seen entire companies adopt it. When Bitcoin launched, it was peer-to-peer. Then it became business-to-peer. Then it became business-to-business. Then different corporations started instituting different requirements and ways and processes and systems of handling Bitcoin transactions. Then institutions started getting in. Now we're at the final frontier. We are at the next big thing for Bitcoin adoption. Entire nation-states moving towards it. And this is scary to the elites. This is scary to the powers that be, especially someone like the IMF that rely on fiat currency to continue to exist. The Bitcoin Standard by Safadine Amos talks extensively about these multinational institutions and organizations who have their entire purpose built on the back of managing an economy, as if something that was designed to be self-managing can be managed properly by human beings. It can't. Ask the Soviet Union how well that went, and you won't hear anything because they don't exist anymore. You can't centrally plan an economy, and that's what we as humans keep arrogantly trying to do. The IMF is just one example of an organization attempting to do that, and this is a good example of it. El Salvador was in conversations with the IMF to receive a $1.3 billion loan from the IMF, and the IMF has made statements on how El Salvador adopting Bitcoin could be a hurdle in them getting said loan. You know that loan is probably not so that they can go and build new beach resorts. It's probably so that they can help feed the people of their nation. It's probably so they can build infrastructure. I don't have the information right in front of me about what that loan was going towards, but I have a feeling it was probably going to be pretty important to El Salvador. The president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, I may be butchering that for anyone who speaks Spanish, I do apologize, has said that he intends to hold a conversation with the IMF soon, and he intends to make his, quote, statements demonstrative, which sounds like it could be the light at the end of the tunnel, and that he doesn't intend to change his stance on Bitcoin in regard to Salvadoran laws. Sounds to me like the president of El Salvador doesn't give a flying crap what the IMF thinks. He is going to do what is best for his nation, because I bet you, in his opinion, the IMF and the US dollar have never had the best interest of his nation at heart from the beginning. This is a big step in the right direction for anyone in El Salvador. Drop a 1 in chat if you're from El Salvador. If you're from El Salvador, we would love, absolutely love to hear what your opinion is, since you have boots on the ground over there. What does this look like, and how is this impacting things? What are your opinions on this? Tim, what do you think about this? What do you think the future of El Salvador is going to look like, and what do you think it shows to the rest of the world that the president of El Salvador is basically telling the IMF to shove it?
Yeah, no, so I cannot speak too much specifically on El Salvador due to I don't know too much about El Salvador.
Same here.
Just to clarify some things that people asked in chat, though, they're like, oh, Jeb, don't you know that El Salvador is in Central America, not South America? The reason I use that question as a segue is because of the news of actual South American countries who are looking into following suit, like Brazil and Argentina and Paraguay, and you have these other countries who are going to potentially follow suit. And that's what I think is big about this story is, of course, right on track. We get some big news. We get something like a country adopting Bitcoin as legal tender, and FUD is not far behind with the IMF coming to rear its head. But what I love, like Jim just summed it up, the president of El Salvador is pretty much telling the IMF to go suck on a rock. And I love that, because literally, if we've been following this cycle, it seems like every time something good happens, we're just waiting for the next piece of FUD to come out. And it's good to know that this FUD already looks like it's being curtailed. And
good
again,
for him.
We talked about the other day, there's a difference between FUD and FOMO and facts. And so El Salvador adopting Bitcoin is a fact. FUD is the IMF coming in and saying, oh, you can't do this. I mean, not this isn't a fact. It's just there's nothing concrete about it. If the president was getting cold feet, I'm like, all right, now we have a problem. Until he changes his mind officially, we don't have a fact yet, but that doesn't look good. But I love that he's like nipping this in the bud and saying, nope, I'm not going to deal with this. You're not going to stop what I've decided for my country, and you're not going to stop the momentum that Bitcoin has right now in becoming mass adopted. For those of you who are just joining the show, we started the show talking about what India is doing. India, having previously been very against Bitcoin, going so far as to ban crypto in their country, is now saying, you know what, actually Bitcoin, we're going to actually look at it as an asset class. That is massive news. We see countries all around the world, you hear FUD here in the United States, but if you were to be in a different country, crypto is actually coming across as like a saving grace. And if you guys live in a country that is the case for you, hit a 1 in chat, just let us know. Sometimes the U.S., living in the U.S. kind of distorts the view of the worldwide view of crypto, because we're not the only country. It doesn't always come down just to us.
No, absolutely not. And the fact is that we've got complacent in the current financial system, and it takes really understanding the way that this works in the first place from an objective, non-biased point of view to realize why Bitcoin matters so much. It's a lot easier for people in countries like El Salvador that have the US dollar as their currency witness 30% inflation and an increase in the supply of the US dollar over the last couple of years, and they didn't even get over the last 18 months, and they didn't even get the benefit of stimulus. Now, I'll argue all day about whether or not the stimulus was actually beneficial to the economy, because that comes down to perspective, but the fact of the matter is, El Salvador and many other nations that use the US dollar because it's supposed to be stable right now are suffering major ramifications of its inflation. You can't build a stable nation on an unstable currency. It doesn't work that way. El Salvador realizes that, and I say kudos to the president down in El Salvador. You have our complete support here from the cryptocurrency community. Now, I might not know every single thing about El Salvador, but I do respect you taking a stand for your people. I think your intentions are pure, and for that reason, I respect you, sir. Good to you.
Yeah.
Here's
there was something in chat. Someone saying, like, again, they were talking about how El Salvador is insignificant and so small. First of all, never count out the little guys. Second of all, it is significant because, again, we've said at the beginning of the show, this is a precedence. Is El Salvador a massive country with a lot of wealth? No, they're not. But the precedence, getting the ball rolling for all of these countries who do have wealth. And first of all, for El Salvador, if you're from El Salvador, or if you know someone from El Salvador, or if you're the president of El Salvador watching the stream, thank you so much for watching us.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing what you're doing, and you're about to turn your country's entire economy around because you are seeing things before anyone else did.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, someone said, let's see here. They said, well, I can't find what they said, but they made a good point.
There's been a lot of
really
chats,
good
a lot of good
points.
chats. But someone asked earlier, like, why don't you answer every single question? I was like, well, there's too many.
Because there's a lot of questions.
We're trying. We're trying our hardest.
Hey guys, real quick, even before we continue here, I just want to give a shout out to one of the sponsors of this channel. It's called Lux Algo. Let me show you really quickly what Lux Algo did for us over on my chart. It is an indicator pack. Check this out. Lux Algo actually managed to predict the very beginning of this correction. Look at that strong signal. This is default settings. I haven't even messed with the settings because I want to keep it pure. These are the settings that came with Lux Algo. This is what I turned on, fired up, and saw on my chart. Look at these signals. Pause on my screen and tell me if these signals don't look very, very useful, and you will probably find that they are. Let me show you on Ethereum also. Very, very useful signal showed up over here just a little while ago. Boom, check that out. A sell signal right there. A buy signal, buy signal, buy signal, sell, sell, sell. Looks very useful to me. Now, guys, Lux Algo is not designed to overturn all of your own technical analysis. It is, just like other indicators, a mathematical equation, and it needs to be interpreted through the light of a wise and experienced trader and an analyst. However, in my experience with it so far, it has been remarkably useful, and it is something I would highly recommend. If I didn't recommend it, and if I wasn't actually using it on my own, I would not be selling it. It is linked in the description box down below. If you use coupon code JEB, you will get 20% off at checkout. I think it is very much going to help you with your trading and with your investing and with your analysis. If you're interested, you can find that link down below.
We just had a very interesting super chat. Again, I don't speak Spanish, so those of you who speak Spanish, you're going to have to confirm this. But Jose Ramos, if someone speaks Spanish, I would think Jose Ramos does. He says, funny how El Salvador translates to the savior in Spanish. No coincidence.
Huh. That is true. That does mean the savior in Spanish.
I barely speak English is my problem.
Yeah, me too.
So I definitely don't speak Spanish.
That's true. Let's read a couple more. Super chats here.
Okay, so we just had one from Chad Hearn, and we'll go out. If you asked a super chat earlier, hopefully you're still here. We're going to answer all of them.
Yep.
But Chad Hearn just asked, you always do your analysis, I think, using the 4-hourly time frame. Why is this? Should I be using it? Are there other times I might use like the 1 hour? That's actually a great question. Something that I have had several conversations with Jeb about. So Jeb, why don't you answer that question?
Yeah, absolutely. So we tend to start on the daily chart. Yeah. Normally, all analysis for us, because that's about the time frame we're looking for, starts on the daily chart. I'm not a day trader. I do not do a ton of trades down on the 1-minute chart, down on the 5-minute charts. It's not where I like to be. What I do like to do is look at a longer term perspective. I like to look at like swing trades. I like to look at where the market's moving in the long run, especially since that's my job, is to give you guys perspective on what might be happening over the next 14 to 60 days in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So we start on the daily chart. If I need to look higher resolution, I need to zoom in, then I will look down the 4-hourly chart, and if I need to look at even higher resolution, I will look at the 1-hourly chart. Here's a rule. That's not a hard and fast rule, but it is something I found to be pretty useful. If you are looking at a certain time frame, picture what 50 candlesticks out from that time frame will look like, and ask yourself, is this really going to be useful? Look at a time frame based on what the next 50 candlesticks roughly are going to look like, while also keeping in mind that you want to be looking at a time frame that is actually relevant and that other people are looking at. I wouldn't do too much on the 3-hour chart, for example, because if you're looking at the 3-hour chart, most traders and analysts are going to be looking at the 4-hour chart. Yeah. You want to be using the same chart as everyone else, so there's consistency and you're seeing the same thing that other people are making trades based off of. But as far as selecting time frames, I've been asked that many times. What I tend to do is I try to figure out Okay, I want to look at 60, 70, 50, 60, 70 candlesticks out. What time frame do I need to do to see that? I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen in the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
The daily chart's probably not the best because that's one candlestick. What I'll probably do if I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen in the next 24 hours, I'm going to zoom into the hourly chart or maybe even the 30-minute chart and look at that because that's going to give me 25, 50 candlesticks or so. You want to have enough resolution, but you don't want to have too much resolution. Let me say that again. You want to have enough resolution, but not too much resolution. There's a happy medium, and understanding where that medium lies will mostly come with experience. It's very hard to define crystal clear, but hopefully that helps point you in the right direction.
Yeah, spoiler on CT2A, and I know this sounds like we're saying this a lot, but this is actually really interesting. It's really interesting to me. Whenever I'm learning things and I'm going through things for the first time, I get very, very passionate about it.
Yeah.
Really love it. So there's a whole video in CT2A talking about psychology of traders. And what Jeb is really talking about is when you guys look at the chart, for those of you who already know how to read charts, there is nothing about the charts that makes sure for sure, because the chart says automatically a price is going to do something. However, charts are looked at by millions of people. And as we've talked about in previous shows, a lot of investors coming from companies and coming from institutions are usually making their trades based off of somebody who is looking at the chart. So what you want to be looking at is the same chart and the same things that the majority of traders are looking at. And if you are, and you're all thinking the same thing, you're all going to do the same thing. And therefore, it's going to... That's why technical analysis works in the first place. So is it a perfect system that works 100% of the time? Absolutely not. But if you know how to think the way other traders think, and the only way to know how they think is to actually look at what they're looking at, then you can know how to read things correctly, and that's why technical analysis, more often than not, does work.
Yeah, technical analysis, it's kind of like... I think Winston Churchill said this about capitalism. Might not have been Winston Churchill, but someone said this. Capitalism isn't perfect, but it's the best solution we've found.
Yeah.
Technical analysis does not give you 100% accurate answers, but it is going to give you the most accurate answers that you can find in any discipline.
Yeah.
That being said, it's not going to be perfect. And that being said, technical analysis is not just a tool that you flick a switch and then you got it. It is a skill set that you need to spend a very long time mastering. That's why we created CT2A to help jumpstart you in the right direction. Real quick, by the way, if you haven't already, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Over on Instagram and Twitter, we are at CryptoJeb. We're very active over there now. In fact, a really funny video just went out on Instagram yesterday. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely go and watch it. It's about SME, and you're not going to want to miss it, especially if you're familiar with this stream. Also, over on TikTok, we're becoming pretty active over there, and we do a lot of rap outs, some technical analysis and whatnot. That is at CryptoJeb Official. And also, by the way, we have a newsletter that goes out every Friday. One will be going out today. If you sign up with the link in the description box down below, it doesn't cost you anything, but you're going to get a lot of great information delivered right to your inbox every single Friday. Everyone that has had it so far seems to be really enjoying it. We do customer surveys whenever the newsletter goes out, and we've gotten amazing responses, so check that out. The link's down below.
Before we jump into more super chats, there's a great question asked by Red Robles that I think that a lot of people would love to have the answer to, so I will ask this question. He asked, will Ethereum hit 3,000 anytime soon before the end of the bull? Question mark. So that's kind of actually two different questions. Will it hit it soon, or will it hit it by the end of the bull run?
Before the end of the bull market, almost certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already been there.
Yeah.
Will it happen soon is the main question.
Yes.
And so let's jump onto my chart really quickly and talk about that. Ethereum has a symmetrical triangle pattern. It is so close to an ascending triangle pattern that you can really read it either way. But this triangle pattern, however you want to define it on Ethereum, is probably going to end up, we're probably going to see the market rally up to this level right here because of the RSI being pretty low, because of the MACD. But there is a very big question mark behind that movement, because we're also seeing that the MACD is attempting to break bearish right now on the daily chart for Ethereum. If we look at the volume, we can see the volume's pretty low. If we look at the TD sequential, we can see that the TD sequential bottomed out. There's not much to write home about there. If we look at the 20 exponential moving average, you can see we're rejecting off of it. The word soon is what I'm going to answer that question on, because I'm not confident that it's going to happen soon. I'm almost certain that it's going to happen before the end of the bull market, because I think this bull market is going to go much higher than we already have. But I don't know about the word soon. That's my answer to that. Good question.
Yeah, no, again, that's something I was looking at this morning with our team. We are definitely, as he just said, we're in a symmetrical triangle pattern that does not show signs of us going back to 3,000 within the next days, maybe even a couple weeks. But ultimately, there is so much coming out with Ethereum. Again, this could all change. We're going to see what happens here, like literally, I think a month from now.
It's really going to hinge on
We're going to see that
2.0.
London.
It's going to hinge on ETH 2.0. If ETH 2.0 can come out and smash it, then Ethereum is probably going to do very well. But if Ethereum 2.0 keeps dragging its feet like it's been for the last several years, then it's going to be hard.
But I think even, just a follow-up question to that, what I would assume a lot of people are asking, they're like, okay, based off of what Jeb just said, am I good to buy Ethereum now? Is this a good time to buy for the long term? In which case, Jeb's answer would be,
what's your risk tolerance and what's your time horizon?
Yep.
Tim has heard me ask this question to people many, many times. Joshua Haynes. That's an interesting super chat. We'll get to that in a second. What is your risk tolerance? What's your time horizon? What that means is how tolerant are you to risk? If you're 75 years old, retired, and living off of Social Security, you probably don't have a very high risk tolerance. I'm 20 years old, and I run a company, and I have cash to throw around. I have a very high risk tolerance. That's a question you have to answer for yourself, and I can't give you that. The other question is, what's your time horizon? If you're planning on buying Ethereum, you got to think, okay, well, how long am I willing to hold this? How much blood am I willing to see before I see returns?
Yeah.
Are you going to hold it for 5 years? If so, buy it now. It's probably not going anywhere. Ethereum will almost certainly be worth more in 5 years than it is now. Probably a pretty good investment. How much risk tolerance you have and what your time horizon is will answer 80% of that question for you, and it's not something I can tell you.
Yep. All right, we're going to move in to probably finishing out the stream with Super Chats, answering your questions. I'll keep an eye on the chat to see if there's any good questions, but other than that, we're going to mostly be handling Super Chats. Joshua Haynes just said, end of the week update, Jeb is still the man. Watch out. Tim is learning TA. That's true. That I'm becoming dangerous that way.
Yep.
I recently graduated from non-crypto Tim to sort of crypto Tim.
It's kind of crypto, Tim.
Kind of.
It's alliterative.
Is the next step up full crypto, or is the next step up more than not?
The kind of step up is definitely maybe crypto, Tim.
Definitely, I'd take it. I'll take that.
Definitely maybe crypto, Tim.
Smay turned into a pillow.
Smay did turn into a pillow.
Yeah, Smay has gone AWOL. That tooth has really got him down bad.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Josh says, finish CT2A, hashtag cut the beard, chop the tree.
Do it.
Not this week, Joshua Haynes. This week it is hashtag burn that truck.
Dang. Come on now.
So, yeah.
Come on now.
I think we just had another super chat come in.
Eric Liddell.
Eric Liddell said, anyone know how the FBI seized the ransomware's Bitcoin wallet? Were they just dumb enough to store their keys on an insecure server?
Yes,
I know this was a topic on the around blockchain on Tuesday, right? Yeah, Jeb, I'll let you go on a little spiel for that, and then we will resume other super
Bitcoin
chats.
is unhackable. You can't hack Bitcoin. Blockchain technology is one of the first technologies in the history of the world that you can't hack. Like, we have come to just expect, if it's on a computer, it can be hacked. That's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
Hacking, that is actually very far from true for Bitcoin. For the FBI to have hacked Bitcoin, they would have to have hundreds of billions of dollars worth of money, equipment, and I'm pretty sure we would know about that. So here's what happened. The ransomers held their Bitcoin on an insecure server. Don't know why they were dumb enough to do that, but that's what happened. The FBI hacked the server in the same way that if I post my private keys all over the internet, somebody can say, okay, well, I'm just going to steal that. That's pretty much what happened there. They got into the private keys because the server was unsecure. That is something that can happen. That does not mean that Bitcoin got hacked. It just means that server that was holding it got hacked. Put it this way. They broke into the bank. They didn't necessarily break the value of the US dollar. They broke into the bank, right? Okay, cool. Good deal. Let's keep going here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get. Someone said we missed a super chat, and I don't remember seeing this one. If I see it again, I'm gonna ask a question now from David PT, and if I missed it, I will make sure I check that. But he said, with things looking better now and solid sideways action, do you think this will continue through the weekend? And what are the chances of getting a dip, i.e., 10% plus dip?
I think that Bitcoin probably is going to continue somewhat sideways through the weekend. Guys, there's a bunch of resistance right above us. There's 38,000, there's 39, well, there's 40,000, and then there's a zone between 42 and 43,000. I can show you that on my chart really quickly, actually. There's a level of resistance here at 38, there's a level of resistance here at 40, and there's a zone of resistance right here between 42 and 43. I'm not going to go into the background on all that resistance, but if you pause my screen, you can see where some of it comes from with bottoms over here and tops right here. Right now, Bitcoin has a ton of resistance above it, but it's also shown to have very strong support below it. That is prime territory. That is prime market condition for sideways movement. Now, what it's going to do in between $30,000 and $42,000 is anyone's guess. Now, that's where technical analysis comes in to try and get a better idea of what's going to happen in that range. But I think over the next several weeks, we're going to be probably staying within that range of $30,000 to $42,000. So that's my take on that.
Okay. Got a couple super chats that aren't questions, but are just, I think, just people who love the show. Bob said, thank you guys for all your hard work and for keeping humble about it. You guys rock.
Aw.
You rock, Bob.
You rock,
we're
Bob.
doing our best every single day. You know, that's we've said that before. That's one of our best practices is we really do want to give you guys what you want to know and what you need to know, but we're not willing to just kind of pull stuff out of our butt to do that. We really pride ourselves on being real for you guys.
Because that would be nasty.
Yes. Carbongen69 said, awesome job on Around the Blockchain.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Jeb's
I
freaking killing it over there.
really love being over there. I got to talk to Austin from Altcoin Daily a little bit, and Johnny Crypto, who freaking smashed it, by the way. If you're looking for a great up-and-coming channel, go subscribe to Johnny Crypto. He did a really good job on ATB yesterday. Go check out what he said. Probably going to have him on the show, actually. He's just a really cool guy. Yeah. Get President of El Salvador on the show, said Philippe.
That would be awesome.
I would love that.
You guys got a connection for us?
You guys got a connection for us? Let us know. I would love that.
Matt C. Come on, Matt C.
This dude is single-handedly funding this
I love
operation.
it. We've said that several times, and he never goes away. I love it. Matt is the best.
Yeah.
All right. He says, amazing show on ATB yesterday, Jeb. That was an all-star group. I agree with the idea that we may consolidate for a while before we see a significant move to the upside. Have a great weekend, everyone.
I totally agree with you, Matt C.
Yep.
And it's probably because you agree with me. So I already agreed with you because you're just agreeing with me. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, to clarify to people, in case you were joining the show late and you guys are looking at the title, like, what do you mean sideways? I thought you said it's about to explode. If you look at the charts from Bitcoin, go back and watch it. Sideways, it probably will end up continuing to move sideways, but it looks like we could have a small rally here shortly. Again, sideways means we go up and down for a while in kind of a sideways format. Tony420 Toke Bulls. So that's a thing, guys. I'm learning. Toke Bulls is a thing. Is it Toki or Toke?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, on the chat the other day, people acted like I was an idiot for not knowing that. And I am an idiot, just to be fair, but I didn't feel like it was fair to say
It
I
has
was an
something to
idiot
do
for
with
not knowing
Mary
that.
Jane, I think, but
Okay.
I don't do that. So I don't know.
He said, how do American taxpayers use Bybit? So ultimately, I think he's saying, like, how do you handle taxes with Bybit if you're in the United States?
So you pay them. It's the same thing. It doesn't really have an impact what exchange you're on. A lot of people think that trading on Bybit in the United States is illegal. It is most certainly not illegal, guys. It's absolutely not illegal. It's the same way you pay taxes on anything else. The exchange that you're on makes absolutely no difference. Track all your transactions, record your profit and your loss, all of that. I can't go into specific on taxes because I am not a tax professional,
right?
And I can literally be held liable in a court of law if I do that. So I'm not going to go into details.
Don't want to play that game.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. Let's see. Next one up. We got Jordan Wood said, hey, Jeb, not sure if you ever mentioned Cartesi, but what do you think of this project? It seems important, but not enough to talk about.
We've heard about Cartesi a few times. I think that's something that we ought to have a research team look into.
I can take a note of that.
You take a note of that?
Yeah.
Because I'm not familiar with it off the top of my head. Well, just so you guys know, what we try to do is we want to respect every single person that leaves a super chat because we are so incredibly thankful for you if you do that, and for all of our regular viewers. If you guys ask us, we will try to look into a certain cryptocurrency, and if it's something that piques our interest, then it'll be brought up in a future show. For example, Solana was one that you guys talked about a lot, and we talked about that yesterday. So definitely continue asking those questions. Just know that most of the time we probably won't be able to give you an answer to that right away, just because, unfortunately, I'm not the walking encyclopedia that everybody thinks I am. But yeah, thank you so much for the super chat.
Next one. So, okay, there we go. David PT, I did miss your question. So, David, I answered the question. He was asking about the dip in Bitcoin. All right. So, moving forward, Jose Ramos. Oh, no, I did say this one. I just copy and pasted it also. He was talking about El Salvador translates to the savior in Spanish.
Yeah.
And there's no coincidence there. I agree with you. Fernando Valenciano, I think. Your thoughts on the 1 minute chart? Yeah, that's a question. I saw someone else doing TA. They talked to me on Twitter. I think they were doing the 30-minute chart, but either way, I'm going to expand that question. What is your thoughts on looking at anywhere between the 30-minute to the 1 minute chart?
So let me put it this way. Why are you using that chart? And if you have a good, valid answer that is in alignment with technical analysis basic principles, then use the chart. Some of those principles are many other people are using that chart. It is necessary to be on that low of a resolution. It is where you are looking for. It is where you're going to be consistently doing analysis during the trade that you're in. If you meet all those criteria, use the 1 second chart for all I care. If you're going to be making a trade and exiting it within 30 seconds, then yeah, the 1 second chart is probably the chart you want to use. Just keep in mind that not very many people use the 1 second chart. Not many people use a 20-minute chart. People do tend to use the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the 30-minute, and the 1 minute chart if they're doing intraday leverage trading down on scalping, for example. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with using the 1 minute chart. Just know why you're doing it. Don't do things without having a clue as to why you're doing them. But if you have a good answer to some of those questions, then go for it. That's not really my place to tell you not to use something. It is my place to tell you if I think it's a good idea or not. I don't think it's a bad idea to use the 1 minute chart. Just have a clear understanding as to why. If you're trying to figure out what's going to happen 2 months from now, the 1 minute chart probably isn't the best option. And if you're trying to do a 1 minute trade, the daily chart probably isn't where you want to be. It really comes down to experience. Not that I'm aware of. And that is more specific tax advice that I can't really get into.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot. It's a good question.
It's a good question. Just unfortunately, I'm not the person that can do that.
Yep. Tetchan said, "Hi Jeb, what are your thoughts on Celsius Network for earning interest? I'm new and I'm looking for a platform to grow my crypto assets with."
So I'm not terribly familiar with Celsius itself, but one thing you have to keep in mind is if Celsius is what I think it is, then essentially what you're doing is you're putting your crypto, and please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on this, because again, I'm not very familiar with the Celsius project, but if it's like some of the other projects that I'm thinking of, essentially what you're doing is you're putting your money up into a bank where they're doing fractional reserve lending with your money. And then when they're doing that, you're essentially using a cryptocurrency bank. Yeah, you can make money on it, but it kind of defeats the point. If it's decentralized, that's a little bit different, because that's probably not going to be manipulated by powers that be. But if it's central, then I'd be careful with it. It's not to say that it's a bad idea, but I would be careful with it. We're definitely going to look more into Celsius, so if we can take a note on that, then that'll be good.
There's a couple good ones we got.
Yeah, definitely.
We are expanding our team of what our ability to research some of this stuff is, so that is nice for you guys and nice for us.
Oh, it's Lionel. Hey,
Lionel. I saw his. He said, "These guys are awesome. Met them in person. They really are the real deal. They don't just act the show."
Heck yeah, Lionel.
Lionel came in office with our friend Corbin.
He's a real estate agent.
Yeah. Lionel, you can. I'd love to hang out with you again sometime soon.
Yeah, good deal. It was good to meet you, man.
I think when he came in, it was like we were in the middle of stuff, so we didn't even get to fully.
Yeah, we were all over the place.
To him, but
I was pretty freed up, so we talked for a little bit. But yeah. Thank you so much, Lionel.
Yeah, no, so something I was going to mention as we begin to wrap out the stream, another project. So, what we're going to be looking at for next week, guys, is we're going to be potentially looking into Cartesi and Celsius. Another one, and we just had another super chat come in, so I'm going to jump to that in a second. Another one is Nervos. We talked about Nervos, I don't know, earlier this week, I think, or was it last week?
I don't remember.
If you don't remember,
I wasn't here.
You weren't here, so it was last week. Confirmation. We talked about Nervos and what Nervos is doing with Cardano, and just so you guys know, we have to do a lot more detailed research about all of the information, but in a nutshell, Nervos is going to allow different platforms to communicate with each other easily, which is a massive uptick in crypto, because that's something that even Charles Hoskinson had talked about. I think that's why I made that pairing, is he said until these platforms can actually communicate with each other, when we have them actually working together, crypto is going to explode. Nervos sought to fix that. My one question is, it is a proof of work proof of work platform, which Charles has historically not loved proof of work. So I need to do more research before I give you guys every single detail of that. However, I love Nervos, and we'll let you guys know more next week. The super chat just came in, and this is going to be the last one, guys. He said, please, this is from Duplexed FM. He said, please have a look at Sport Moon Go. They are a team of ex-pro footballers, and just if you guys are in the United States, never do we ever talk about NFL players as being footballers, so he is talking about the football you play with your feet, actually. Just have a quick look at the chart and people talking about it. I'll tell you what, Duplexed FM, we will take a look at that. I'll write that down, because anytime sports gets involved in crypto, my eyebrows get risen.
Tim gets excited. By the way, someone said it's Journey Crypto, not Johnny. It wasn't Journey Crypto. It was Johnny Crypto. Journey is a giant YouTuber. Johnny Crypto, I think, has like 10,000 subscribers. Very small YouTuber, but very, very hungry to grow and learn. And yeah, he was great on Around the Blockchain yesterday. You guys should definitely go check out his channel. It's Johnny Crypto. Check him out. Yeah. So, guys, I think that we are pretty close to wrapping it out here. I'll go ahead and read this. Chris donated $10, said, love the show. Take a look at Xinfin. Unfortunately, we're about to wrap out the show, so we don't have time, but we will write that down. Nobody knows about them when they're working with the Federal Reserve, the Digibond market. So here's the deal, guys. If you enjoyed this show, we just hit 1,000 likes. Let's see if we can't get to 10,000. No, I'm kidding. Make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more cryptocurrency content. We're live at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every single weekday here, and we are very, very pleased to have you guys join us. If you enjoyed today's show, hit that like button, smash the dislike button twice if you didn't like it so we know that you really, really hated it. Sign up for our newsletter down below. And by the way, if you're looking for a great leverage trading platform and you're an expert in cryptocurrency and you know what you're doing, but you do want a good leverage trading platform, you can sign up for Bybit with the link in the description box down below. That does help to support our channel. Make sure to sign up for Lux Algo also and consider joining the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. Follow us on social media. But guys, that is going to wrap it out for today's show. Before we go, though, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh,